What's up, all my Ewok triples, droids, and Wookiees? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and today I'm going to be talking about Lord of the Rings because, like you can see up here on the screen, they are going to be putting some adult stuff on it. Sex and Sensibility, Amazon's nude take on Tolkien. Wow, okay. So, one of the things that I immediately thought when I saw this, which, by the way, thank you, Neo Unrealist, for tagging me in this as well as a lot of other lovely people on Twitter, so that way I could be aware of this. Thank you. I do appreciate it, even though this took me to a comic book TV, their website, which I do not trust at all. But then they had this little link for the lordoftherings.net, and guess what? When you click on it, it just goes to nothing. It says, sorry, this page does not exist. So I simply used Google and just Googled it, and there we are. But their link that they have in the actual website is broken. Also, all of the links for all of these are going to be in the description of this video. And also, please take a minute to smash the like button, and if you're not subscribed, smash the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and make sure that it is set to all, or else you won't get any notifications for when I cover new content like this. So, back to it. One of the first things that I thought when I saw this was actually this. And then I was like, oh, why would you do that? Because when Lord of the Rings first came out, I was a little kid. And I remember going to the movie theaters to see these, and it was so cool. And I don't know how kids are nowadays. I can only gauge from what my stepdaughter likes. And, it takes a lot to get kids excited about live action type of movies. They usually like to focus on animated movies, or if it's like very kid oriented movies, then they'll go for live action. But when I was a kid and Lord of the Rings was coming out and not knowing much about it, and then going to the theater and being able to go with my entire family, those are memories I'm never going to forget. And waiting for the next Lord of the Rings movie to come out, and the Twin Tower, not the Twin Towers, bad little thing there, but the Two Towers with Helm's Deep and that battle, and getting to see it at theaters was so fucking cool. And me as a kid, I hadn't read the books yet, I was too young, so knowing what was gonna happen, or not knowing what was gonna happen, and that anticipation, the anxiety when the elf prince dies, it's like, oh my god, what's going on? And then finally getting to go again. And I remember the theaters were packed, and this was before you could, reserve your tickets online. So you had to wait in line. And my parents were excited to go and do this. We couldn't drag, unless it was like a theme park, my parents wouldn't wait in line for anything, let alone a movie about humans and elves and dwarves and, orc fighting and hobbits fighting for, the ability to live, freedom from, the evil orcs and, Mordor and all of that. And, Hobbit, Frodo and Sam and their friendship and going and dropping the ring in the freaking mountain. It was so cool. And my entire family, I'm the oldest, so my little sisters were excited to see it, all different ages. My parents wanted to see it. My older brother wanted to see it. And, there's a pretty big age gap between me and my brother. It's like 17 years. And so, everyone was excited about Lord of the Rings. You go to the theater, people are there from like the age that you're allowed to go to the theaters to, as ever old as they can possibly get. And it was just one of those things. And I just remember the way everyone was anticipating the third movie, because it's going to be the end of Lord of the Rings. It's the return of the king. And having something like this in it, Sex and Sensibility, Amazon's new take on Tolkien, that's not something that everyone can watch. Parents are going to see this and they're going to not want their kids to be able to, or they're not going to let their kids watch this. You're just slicing back the audience. And then there's also adults that don't want to see that kind of stuff in their movies or in their TV shows. I know plenty of people that didn't watch Game of Thrones because they're like, no, there's too much sex in it. I don't want to see that. And that's one of the things that I think Lord of the Rings handled so well, is that they did have the love, they did have the romance between, Arwen and Aragorn. And it was there, and it was great, and it wasn't too much that kids are like, ew, because, kids are at that age where they're like, ew, gross, lovey-dovey stuff, ew, because I know that's the exact way I was, but I still enjoyed it. It was a great series, the trilogy, I should say. And so doing this is like you're just slicing down your audience, and it's not going to do you any favors. But let's read this article and see what they have to say. Amazon Studios' The Lord of the Rings series heads into uncharted carnal waters with the casting call for nudity and an intimacy coordinator. Lovely. This might be a singularly surprising or even upsetting concept to the present Tolkien fans. If I were to address this reality to Star Wars or Harry Potter or even Miyazaki fandom, it would raise eyebrows or outright alarm. But gather around the campfire and hear my tremendous words. Oh, lovely. I don't get it. Why would you pick one where it's like they're very obviously in full clothes? But whatever. Prepare for a newly sexualized version of your favorite fantasy world. They've already done that in the porn industry. You don't need to do it in this big blockbuster thing. And fuck, the Axel dude, he'll probably do it and make it 10 times better than the actual one. Haven't you guys seen those images of the costumes and the difference between the porn parodies versus the actual TV shows or movies, and how the porn costumes are more accurate and better? Makes a difference when somebody actually cares. So I guarantee you, if it's going to be Lord of the Rings, the director, Axel, he'll probably do it and have much more accurate Lord of the Rings type of costumes, and it'll, be one of those porn parodies. But there's already that kind of content out there for people that want it. You don't need to bring it into Lord of the Rings. That's not what it's about. And again, you're cutting your audience in half, if not, down by a lot more than that. So let's read this. It's the equivalent of saying, get ready to watch Anakin and Padme do something on screen that will forever alter the way you see Star Wars. Sorry about the sand. It gets everywhere. Oh, no. Why? Oh, God, no. I do not need to read that. I don't even need that picture in my head. And guess what? They were talking about having a sex scene in episode 2, but George thought, everyone wanted it. It came up onto the table, and everyone said no because Natalie Portman didn't want to do it, and it denies, that audience level. Again, I watched Star Wars when I was a child, and it stuck with me ever since. So many people have been watching these movies since they were kids, especially people from my generation. I wouldn't say necessarily with Star Wars because I was a kid when Lord of the Rings was coming out. I was not even born yet or thought of when Star Wars was coming out because my parents didn't meet for decades later. Let's see. Is this a real lightning rod issue? Depends on your temperament. I have to be really careful about presumed gatekeeping, which is not my intention or any semblance of that. I just want this discussion way out in the open. Let's get to the heart of this issue because it's a thing now. We must clearly ask ourselves what we want and don't want from a $1 billion Tolkien TV adaptation, because the tracks are laid and the train is headed straight for us via your streaming device and paid subscription. It's on Amazon, so technically I do have a subscription because I have Amazon Prime, but I'm not going to watch it if it sucks. And lately, all of the stuff that came out that I grew up loving fucking sucks. Star Trek sucks. Star Wars sucks. Everything sucks, and I don't want it. I will stick to my original Star Wars, my original Lord of the Rings. I don't need anything else. I don't, and I don't want it to be ruined. My heart can't take it anymore. I've been, spurned too much by this bullshit that they're trying to push and shove down our throats. I'm not dealing with it anymore. I don't want it. As far as I'm aware, nobody wants this shit except for people that didn't care about it in the first place, and then they're not even going to watch it or pay for it anyways. So the people that they're trying to, serve this up on a platter for, they don't even fucking care. They didn't like this stuff until it became trendy, and I don't know what, all of a sudden, my entire life, I was teased and picked on because I was that weird Star Wars girl, and, I had a Princess Leia action figure that I took with me to school, and I hid in my backpack, and I always dressed up as, characters for holidays or whenever we were allowed to dress up to school, and, kids are nice. I'm sure a lot of people watching had the same type of experience, but then all of a sudden, it's cool now. to like superheroes. It's cool now to like Star Wars. You're actually like out of the loop if you don't at least tweet about these things or post about it, or like, ooh, look at my new Star Wars t-shirt or my new Marvel t-shirt. Oh my God, Iron Man is so cool. And it's like, wow, that's funny because, we're about the same age and you didn't know who that was like 10 years ago. But internets, I guess everything's just a Google click away. But these people, they don't actually care about it. They haven't been, hardcore fans since the beginning. And even if it was like just a passive fan, like I've always been more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan, but I was aware of all of the characters when I was a young child. And people like that, they never cared about it. And so it doesn't make any sense to me for a company companies, they generally want to make money. Why, if they want to make money, they're marketing it to the audience that aren't going to buy anything? It doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they keep doing in Hollywood. It blows my mind. Let's keep reading. It is needful to discuss and understand those qualities of Tolkien's work that are most important to us. Fair to say we have a worldwide, multi-generational scholarly. Multi-generational scholarly, you mean a lot of people know how to use Google as compared to they actually learned it or experienced it in some way, shape, and form throughout their life, which taught them the lesson. Everyone just has, cell phones that are a Google click away from learning any information. Oh, what is Wolverine's birthday? Instead of actually reading a comic so that way you have that information, or how tall is Wolverine? Instead of, actually knowing that because you either watched the X-Men show when it was airing or you read the comics, now you can just Google it. And it tells you everyone's birthdays, heights, favorite food, favorite color, what comic, issue somebody died in, what planet Luke Skywalker found his Kyber crystal from. You can go and Google that. But people like me that actually, grew up with this kind of stuff, that actually have that knowledge from not having Google. Because I remember before Google existed, and you go and you just go on the, not go on the internet. That's what you do nowadays. But you had to go read a book. You had to go watch a movie. You had to go read a comic book to find out this information. Whereas everyone now, it's Google, and they're going to forget about it in 5 minutes until they need to Google it again because they're in some kind of Twitter war. Doesn't make any sense to me. So I would never refer to this as multi-generational scholarly. It's Google users that throw temper tantrums on Twitter. And a fan community that shares some great common denominators of what fidelity means in an adaptation of Tolkien. Thankfully, we have shared voices, and if we shout from the rooftops collectively, Amazon Studios might perchance just listen. I doubt it. I doubt it the way that these companies work, unless they're the people that are working on Sonic, and that's why Sonic I think did so well, is because everyone saw the terrible Sonic trailer and everyone's like, what the fuck is that shit? Demon! And then they said, we hear you. We're going to fix them because we don't want to lose money on this. We want to be able to make sequels. That's why the little thing after the credits and you see Tails. So unless it's those people working on this, I highly doubt they're going to be willing to listen to fans, because one of the things about people that are working in Hollywood or people that are making these movies is that and you can go and do your research on all these people and you'll learn very fast that people in Hollywood have huge egos, and they do not like to hear that they're wrong, and they will rarely ever admit when they're wrong or have made a mistake. Look at Kathleen Kennedy in Star Wars. We have no source material. It's like, you spent $4 billion on not just movies, video games, KOTOR, you got Darth Bane, you got the comic books, you have the novels, all of the expanded universe, but you don't have any source material. And then, but we have all of these great source materials. Like a few months later, it's like, wow, okay, so it took you years after you spent $4 billion obtaining this IP, and you actually worked for George Lucas before Disney acquired it. So you should have known all of this stuff because you were there when it was being made and produced. But whatever, people are stupid that work in Hollywood, and they cannot admit when they're wrong. Here we go. Let's tell them what we expect. We are the audience they need to win over. After all, they don't care. They're telling us to consume product and to not say anything about it. It's becoming 1984. TW by necessity, our topics today include sex, sex organs, bodily functions, sexual abuse and rape, in other fantasy TV shows. So it's going to show like in the Two Towers when it has all of those like the wild men that are attacking the villages in Rohan. They'll probably show intense rape scenes. I don't know if the orcs would necessarily be raping humans or elves, but they might, and then they might show some like necrophilia, which because they showed them like being born again from the earth. So I wouldn't put it past the people that are doing this stuff, considering now every TV show has to have freaking incest and the just disturbingness. Like, okay, Game of Thrones, it had a reason, like, because they had to show that the weird twisted psychoticness that was Cersei and Jaime. In Star Trek Picard, we don't need to see a Romulan wanting to fuck his sister or his sister wanting to fuck him. That is not something that we need in Star Trek, but I digress because that's all they care about. It's like, ooh, let's show them something we've never seen before. Ooh, Game of Thrones was popular. What do they have? Sex, rape, incest. Let's just put that in everything now. It's like, no, stop. Just stop. Doesn't belong in Star Trek. Doesn't belong in Lord of the Rings. But let's keep reading this. TV shows and coordinating intimacy. So here's the trigger warning ahead of time. New territory for the OneRing.net. But hey, it's 2020. No. Hey, it's 2020, guys. Guess what? We're all in quarantine. There's like this worldwide pandemic. It's like there's earthquakes, there's fires. What else could possibly happen? Oh, they're gonna have sex and rape and sexual abuse in Lord of the Rings. Wouldn't you want to make this world a better place, not a worse one? But that's just me. Bear with me. We may find an egalitarian way forward in this conversation. Amazon's approach will be their, oh God, sex on screen. Fact check. We can confirm Amazon Studios has hired Jennifer Ward Leland, a well-known New Zealand intimacy coordinator for the Lord of the Rings production. Oh, lovely. And so this is, I believe this is her, and it's intimacy coordinator. What a strange job that is. Oh, what do you do for a living? I'm an intimacy coordinator. And it's like, okay, cool. Oh my God. Imagine what like holidays are like when you like everyone talks about work and like all your family members ask over and over about your job. I mean, I don't know. To each their own. I hope she gets paid a shit ton of money because that just seems like a very uncomfortable job. The only Amazon show in New Zealand is Lord of the Rings, a production so overwhelmingly large that Auckland Film Unions report that over 80% of all local production crew are working on it, leaving no crew for other TV shows. It should be known that instead of clearly stating to be on Lord of the Rings, Miss Ward Leland's official site declares the acronym for Untitled Amazon Project, UAP, is listed on her upcoming projects, first reported on Night Edge Media and other sites. We know for sure Amazon's UAP is the catch-all working title for Lord of the Rings. Remember how Jamboree and Little Rivers were the working titles for Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, respectively? But how much nudity is Amazon considering? I hope none, honestly. Will there be group nudity? Fact check, rumor. An open casting call for the background extras comfortable with nudity with production code of Jazz. We have seen other casting notices that may apply to Lord of the Rings using code word Jazz for interesting looking actors and horse riders. Oh my God, are they going to be naked riding horses? What is this? Just how many naked extras do you need for a classy romantic lovemaking scene? Oh my God, they're probably going to have like hardcore orgies. Is everyone just trying to take like little notes from Game of Thrones and then trying to put it in there? No, we don't need that. We really don't. Okay, so then here is this a small tidbit. I'm thinking that the OneRing.net recent casting call, the Amazon Lord of the Rings UBI, needed feature nudity sex scenes discovered Amazon has hired. Okay, so that's just the confirmation and their little how they got this information and just confirming that. Caleb Williams dug deep while reflecting on some of our earlier reporting on the Lord of the Ring 1.net or the OneRing.net of new casting announcements by BGT casting, stating, must be comfortable with nudity for upcoming roles in Lord of the Rings. Put two and two together. There's an intimacy coordinator who serves an important role to ensure the well-being of actors during sex scenes or with nudity. And then we learn nudity in certain roles is officially asked for. I mean, again, you're cutting down your audience. If it's one of those things where it's a brothel and you're passing by a brothel, or if you're trying to show that a certain character is particularly evil by having a rape scene, I mean, they did that in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman. Remember where he's the sheriff of Nottingham and he's got like the girls in the hallway and he's like, you 11:45 and bring a friend, and then he's got the one girl that's sitting there and she like puts a blanket over her shoulder. He's like, who told you to cover up? It's like, obviously, you know what they were doing as an adult. As a child, it's like, oh, he's just like being creepy to this girl, but so we all knew what was going on, or at least the adults did, and kids just made up excuses because they don't know what that is. You can do that kind of stuff without showing nudity and cutting your audience in half. You can do it. It is possible. But let's get back to this. Fact check unknown. The precise story they're telling is unknown, as is the time within the Second Age wherein it's all set. Don't know what's the scripts, their content, nor what proper characters are associated with already established cast members. We do know who plays a handful of the leads, Galadriel and Elrond, with best guesswork. We follow these actors on Instagram, but we don't know exactly who is Tyra characters, who's Tyra character is, because Tolkien never named one. We surely don't know who's involved in scenes of nudity, /sexuality. Debate is now open on whether or on where that would be necessary in the grand story of Numrindor or Elven Smiths of Eregion. I'm probably butchering those names, but I don't know. Or welcoming halls of Khazad-dûm in the pre-Balgor glory. Is that those are little shorts? Speak for, oh no. Adult content right there. We do know they are using water tanks. A stunt performer was injured filming scenes underwater, and she has thankfully recovered. Possible connection to Numenor being flooded and ruined in a specific catastrophe. Yes, quite possible. Underwater scenes depicting naked people swimming. We just don't know. How Tolkien presented sexualized content. He simply didn't. Tolkien was a super duper Catholic in his own words. Okay, you can't hide behind religion, because one of the things about religion, and before anyone gets offended, go to high school, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's always the quiet ones, or the hardcore religious ones, that when they decide to rebel, they rebel the hardest. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, you know what I mean. I don't need to say it. In his own words to his publisher, he expressed the desire for his overall legendarama to be presented as high, purged of gross. That's from his famous letter 131. I'll get back to it in a bit. He did not write stories in the manner of George R.R. Martin, although the in-universe is often true. The word rape does not appear in The Hobbit, and only once in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, even then not referencing a person, but a geographical place. Gondor, as in sack or pillage. Okay, and here's another thing. George R. R. Martin wrote Game of Thrones because he watched, or he read Lord of the Rings, and he didn't like the ending, and he felt like having somebody that's a warrior that goes from being like the savior of everyone, and then getting into politics, how those two things don't really compute. That's why he did the whole thing with Robert Baratheon. Robert Baratheon was a warrior that then took the mantle of being king, and look what happened. And so George R. R. Martin wanted to do a more realistic and showing the cutthroatness of people during that time period, and what the lengths people will go to, maintain power or to get power in some way. And that's why when you watch it and it's like, oh, shit's going down. And, sometimes people just aren't, suited. A warrior might be a great warrior, but then they come, back and it's like, maybe you know, they don't know the first thing about becoming king or ruling a kingdom or any of that. There's very specific people that, you know, are built for that kind of stuff. Just like there's very specific people that are built for being warriors. And not to say if you're a warrior, you can't be king and you can't, you know, might not necessarily be good at it. But I think the way that George R. R. Martin put it and showing how Robert Baratheon just hated being king. He hated his job. He's just like, Littlefinger, go do this. You know, everyone else go do this. Go take care of it. I want this. You guys make it happen. And so that was his kind of take on it. And I think, you know, aside from the TV show, if you actually read the book, I think he did a rather good job of telling that take on what happens when certain people take, you know, the lead and they're not necessarily fit for it. But that's my little 2 cents on there. Martin, although in universe, oh wait, I already read that. There are a few notable instances of non-sexual nudity mentioned in the Lord of the Rings itself, a hobbit's bath in Creek Hollow, the running naked through the grass to clear their hearts and minds after imprisonment by the Borrowites, Frodo's rescue by Sam in the Tower of Assertive Angle. Perhaps there's one I missed. A few stories from the Silmarillion include incredibly dark things like incest, as with Thorin and Naor, but that wasn't their fault. Poor things. The Amazon Studios does not have the licensing for those particular stories. Good. Good. That's not what they're currently producing. Tolkien versus other popular fantasy. So I don't think that this has anything to do with the rest of it. I think this is more speculation, and this is a rather long article, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys would like to finish reading this article, the link for it is in the description of this video, but I believe that all the information that we needed to get about the TV show I already read, and this person was nice enough to put it at the beginning of the article instead of the very end. So I think that we got out from it everything that we that we needed to know. I did also find this on IMDb. If you just type in, you know, Lord of the Rings to IMDb, it'll show you like the TV series that has no date attached to it, and then you can go look at the cast. There wasn't anyone that I recognized on it, but I think that's because they're either using British actors, and I don't watch too many British TV shows, or they're trying to get unknowns to give them their like first big break, which good on them. But if they're going to be putting sex and violence, well, I mean, violence is one thing. Violence we got in Lord of the Rings, but if they're going to put sex and rape and incest into it, it's like you're cutting off your audience. My parents wouldn't let me watch that when I was a kid, and I wouldn't have grown up loving Lord of the Rings and having those memories of going to theaters with my family. I wouldn't have that if there was, you know, sex and rape and incest in it. So I think that they're doing themselves a, you know, pretty big disservice by putting that in there, by trying to copy Game of Thrones when Game of Thrones was a critique on Lord of the Rings. But people don't do their research anymore, even though it's a Google search away for some people. But whatever, that's my little 2 cents on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about this news in the comments below. And if you like this video, please smash the like button. And if you are not subscribed, please make sure that you press the subscribe button and then ring the bell for notifications, and make sure that the bell is set to all. That way you actually get notifications, because they personalize and none are the exact same thing. They basically mean you're not getting any notifications. So make sure that it is set to all. And everyone, I hope you have a great day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Happy Halloween month, also known as my birth month. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and I have an Etsy store, so if you've ever wanted to own a print of my artwork, this is the place to go. As you can see, I have a lot of recognizable characters, from horror films to heroes to Star Wars characters. Some of the notable characters I have on here are Darth Vader, which I did a couple live streams painting, so you can own a print of this painting. I also have Luke Skywalker, the binary sunset version, one of my favorite scenes in the original New Hope movie. I have Darth Maul, which Ray Parks himself actually complimented me on Instagram. And then last but certainly not least, Ahsoka Tano. So if you want to own any of these prints, go right on over to my Etsy store. Again, that's The Art of Anna, That Star Wars Girl, or TSWG for short. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. What's up, everyone? I have a P.O. box, so if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, that's Star Wars Girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.